everyone, welcome back to another trip report. Today we're going to be flying on board Air New Zealand from Auckland to Singapore on the 10th of July 2024. This morning's aircraft is a 777-300ER. I was super excited to get on board as I haven't been on one of these since way before COVID. There were a few delays because of the aircraft's late inbound arrival, but once everything got moving we were on pretty quickly. We'll go over the rest of the seat features later on in the video, but I'd like to point out how awesome it was that my name was on the TV screen. That's about all from me until we reach cruising, so I'll leave you to watch the awesome montage of us taking off. It was so cool to hear the GE90 engines again. They are amazing.
The Star Alliance flight operated by Air New Zealand. Very special welcome back to all our loyal Airpoints members. We appreciate your loyalty. You're keeping us all in the job that we love so much. And also a very warm welcome to those of you joining us via our co-chair partners. It's great to have all of you on board. And civil aviation rules require you all to comply with crew instructions and signs on board this aircraft. And to prepare for takeoff, you must now spray your tray table and foot rest. Please check children's fingers and toes are well clear of any moving parts. And ensure that your seat back is upright, armrests are lowered, and if you're sitting near a window, please check that the window shade is open. And we're about to explain the safety procedures for this aircraft. Smoking and vaping are not allowed anywhere on the plane, and charging e-cigarettes and vapes is also prohibited. Headphones connected to personal electronic devices must be removed now. Please also ensure that your screen is available so you can watch our little video, and just double check that your remote control is put away now, because it is important that you give this your full attention even if you fly with us often and have seen this little video many times before. Flight attendants, go to your safety briefing positions.
Now it's time to go over the seat features of Air New Zealand's economy. On today's flight, I was sitting in seat 52K, which is a window seat on the right side of the aircraft. Under the Inflight Entertainment screen, there was a USB outlet and a singular headphone jack, which meant you could use your own headphones. There was also a very well-sized tray table, which could be slid in and out. In the seat pocket, there was a safety card and a cig bag, and there was also heaps of other room for you to store your other items. I really appreciated how every seat had its own universal power outlet. It was super useful for charging my GoPro. There was also an adjustable headrest, which I wish bent around my head a little bit more, but it was still very comfortable. There was also a handle on every seat to help you pull it forward when coming up from the recline, as it was quite clunky, but it was still a good length of recline anyway. Certain parts of the seat were starting to show some signs of wear and tear, like small cracks on the back of the seat and scuffs on the tray table. However, they didn't affect the quality of the product. Provided on every seat, there was a nice soft pillow, an amazingly comfortable blanket, the best I've had on a plane, and some admittedly quite terrible economy headphones, but you get that everywhere really. There was also some awesome mood lighting. About an hour into the flight, it was time for the first meal, and it did not disappoint. The beef meatballs and polenta was the best airplane food I have ever had. It was amazing. I finished the whole thing. After the meal, I decided that I would start to explore the Inflight Entertainment. There was a really awesome selection of music and podcasts, and also some really cool sleeping sounds, which I didn't use as it was a day flight, but I definitely listened to lots of music. There was also a wide range of movies and TV shows to watch. One of the movies that I watched on the plane was Boy, directed by Taika Waititi, a famous Kiwi director. What did you think of that movie? Have you seen it? There were also some games on board the aircraft. In fact, there were actually quite a few, and I saw that my little brother definitely enjoyed playing those, especially since he's not much of a movie person. I really appreciated seeing all of the other apps on the TV screen, like the weather and seat chat, which I definitely used heaps. The one feature I didn't get to try on this flight was the food and drink section, but I have used it in the past, and it is awesome. All you do is click a drink or something you want, and it gets brought to your seat. Speaking of food and drink, about halfway through the flight we were served a delicious ice cream. Enjoy the time-lapse over Australia. Towards the end of the flight, it was time for the second meal. This meal was also delicious and did not disappoint. However, I'm not necessarily a massive fan of ambrosia. However, I'm sure the other passengers really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, not too long after that, it was about time to start our descent into Singapore. I really enjoyed my flight on board Air New Zealand today, and I would highly recommend them on the Auckland to Singapore route. I personally have flown both Air New Zealand and Singapore Airlines on this leg, and it really comes down to what your needs are. We chose this flight because we had a connecting flight out of Singapore about 6 hours later, so it gave us heaps of time to have a rest and a sleep in the air hotel before we headed off again. That's about all from me until after we land in Singapore, so enjoy the pretty cool landing montage as we descended.
Inflight Entertainment, thank you very much for your hard work during this day, and you must now be seated for landing. And a very warm welcome to Singapore, everyone. For your safety, you must remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until the seatbelt sign is turned off. And as always, be careful when opening the overhead lockers. Items might have moved about a bit and they could easily fall out. And it is now safe for transmitting functions on your electronic devices to be turned on. Now, if you have an international connecting flight in Singapore, please make your way to the transfer lane. Network, it was a pleasure to fly you all the way across from Auckland to Singapore, and we'd like to thank you all and we look forward to welcoming you on board again, hopefully soon. Take care, Matewa, auf Wiedersehen, and have a beautiful, wonderful evening ahead.
Welcome to Singapore, everyone. Thanks for watching this flight review, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed being on it. Once again, I really recommend taking Air New Zealand from Auckland to Singapore. We were really impressed by our flight and will definitely be taking it again. See you in the next one.